A question many people are asking on this day is why target a school and what needs to be done to increase security at schools to prevent these tragedies from happening. To help me answer these questions, I'm joined by Chris Dorn. He is an analyst at Safe Havens International based in Atlanta, Georgia. Chris, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Unfortunately, these shootings have happened at schools. We have Columbine, Virginia Tech, and now this. Despite all the talk, despite all the years since Columbine, why are we still seeing shootings at schools?
Well, we have to remember that despite what we might see in the news headlines and things that get a lot of attention, schools are very safe places to be. Historically, homicide rates at schools are very low. And because of this shooting, that rate will go much higher this year. But still, schools are one of the safest places to be for young people. But actually, we've seen these types of incidents as far back as the early 1900s. One of the worst losses of life in a K-12 school was in 1958. And so there are a lot of different reasons these things happen, and a lot of different ways that people commit these types of tragedies. But there are a lot of things that schools can do to prevent them. And schools actually have gotten very good at doing these things. It's just that there's always, there's no way to absolutely protect everything. But there are a lot of measures that schools are taking nowadays to make things safer.
Well, Chris, there is an expectation, at least in elementary schools, that kids are safe. We see metal detectors in high schools and maybe some middle schools, but is there anything that needs to be done at the elementary school level?
Well, it is one of the certain outcomes, one of the few things that we know will probably happen as a result of this shooting is that there will be a lot more focus on elementary school violence. And we have seen incidents where elementary school age students have shot each other. The 1958 incident I talked about was an arson fire set by an elementary age student. But we've typically seen the focus on high schools where there's either gang violence, student violence, or just that they're a target of attack. But we are probably going to see a lot of these measures that are used in high schools going into elementary schools. And most people think about metal detectors, airport-style screening as one of the ways to prevent this type of thing. But a lot of the things that schools can do to prevent this type of incident from happening are more subtle and things they do on the day-to-day basis. For example, one very powerful technique is called pattern matching and recognition. This was a technique that was actually developed in hospitals to allow nurses, to empower nurses to take life-saving action when a doctor might not be available. And so that's one of the things that we can do is we go around the country training teachers and school staff to be empowered. And it sounds like some of the teachers in this instance did some of these things, taking independent action that may not have been written down in their plan, but things to protect students like locking them in closets or other things like that. But basically looking out for dangerous situations, being on the alert, and using their gut judgment to look for dangerous situations. There's a lot of things that we can do to build a climate of culture and safety in the school that are often more effective than maybe something that we might think as, for example, metal detection is a good response to this, but making the school as a whole safer, focusing on good access control, focusing on good training for school staff so that when something like this happens, Columbine was a once-in-a-lifetime event. This shooting will never happen the same way again. 9/11 is a good example, that terrorist attack. We'll never see another terrorist attack just like 9/11. And so when schools focus too much on a specific type of incident, we often see gaps appear, but training schools to be ready to respond to a wide variety of incidents with good action steps, good things they can do in any type of crisis situation, whether it be something we've seen before or something we haven't seen before. Those are the ways that we can prepare schools to be ready for violence.
Okay, Chris Dorn, thank you so much with your input on school safety. We appreciate it.